Virgil Abloh. Virgil Abloh was born and raised in Rockford, Illinois, a city just outside of Chicago. Growing up, Abloh explored many different interests that interceded with the emerging streetwear culture. He loved skateboarding, he loved music, and he loved sports. Growing up in Chicago during Michael Jordan's prime years with the Bulls, Virgil witnessed firsthand the dawning of sneaker culture as we know it today. And as a kid, he even sent some sneaker designs to Nike, but was told that they don't accept submissions. Virgil was also interested in graffiti. In an interview with GQ, Abloh's childhood friend Chris Eaton said that they discovered books like Spray Can Art and Bomb the Suburbs during middle school, and before long they were experimenting with the art form themselves. Apparently some of Virgil's tags included Cease1 and Verge. Graffiti would later make its way into some of Virgil's designs, so it's interesting to wonder if this was the start of his love for the streetwear aesthetic. Moving on, Virgil is said...
Shout out to all the ruins in the stream, man. Before my glasses.
That his parents were supportive of him exploring his passions, but that they always emphasized the importance of pursuing an education. When he wasn't out skating, DJing, or drawing, Virgil was attending Boylan Catholic High School in Rockford, where he played for the men's soccer team. In an interview with Hyznabayati, Abloh said that soccer is the sport he played the most growing up, and that he'd always been fascinated by the sponsored logos on the front of the jerseys. As an interesting fun fact, in 2018, Virgil actually partnered with Nike to give the current men's and women's soccer teams at his old high school custom off-white uniforms.
Damn.
That's getting a bit ahead of ourselves though, because at this point, off-white had not yet been created. In fact, Virgil wasn't even pursuing fashion. Instead, after graduating high school in 1998, Virgil enrolled in the civil engineering program at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Another school.
Who in the chat wants mod? Let me know, man. I'm giving away moderator in the chat. RP to Virgil, man. He was a good artist.
He still finished his degree in 2002. Virgil then went back to school, this time to the Illinois Institute of Technology, where he pursued a master's degree in architecture.
A lot of people passing away right now,
Virgil
man.
spent studying architecture
Gotta be positive
had a major
these
impact
times.
on his future as a designer. And he'll be the first one to tell you that his industrial aesthetic was largely inspired by deconstructivist architects like Rem Koolhaas, who happens to be a longtime partner of Prada. He talked about this in much more depth during a speech he gave at Harvard in 2017, and revealed that he and Koolhaas, an architect he studied in school, have actually started working together on some projects. Side note, I was actually at this Harvard lecture in person, and this is a picture of me throwing my shoe at Virgil.
What?
But that's a story for another day. Keep this Harvard lecture in mind because we will be coming back to it later.
This nigga's
But
a
for now,
weirdo.
just remember that studying architecture had a big impact on who Virgil is as a designer today. It was during his time at the Illinois Institute of Technology that Virgil dove headfirst into streetwear culture. Despite going to school in Chicago, Virgil began making frequent trips to New York City for the sole purpose of shopping at local stores like A-Life, and this allowed him to start making connections in the community. Perhaps the biggest turning point was his discovery of Splay. Splay was a messaging board exclusively for big names in the downtown New York fashion scene, and even though everyone could view the site, you could only
Yeah,
post
it's crazy,
on it
bro.
if the site's
RIP,
founder,
man.
Samuel
It
Spritzer,
was so
accepted
shocking
you.
to me when I heard about this, man. I ain't gonna lie. It was very shocking to me. Had to stream it. Let me know what y'all think, man. Comment up. Send y'all prayers towards Virgil and his family. He got to see 41 years, you know what I mean? But it's crazy.
If you don't know who Samuel Spritzer is, you've probably still seen some of his work. Today, his company manages the web presence for the likes of Supreme, Cavempt, and Cause. Thanks to Splay and his trips to New York, Virgil was tapped into New York streetwear culture despite still being enrolled in school back in Chicago. He had purchased the Adobe suite to use in his architecture classes, but recalls that one of his professors encouraged him to use the program for more than just architecture, and that's how he started making some of his earliest t-shirt designs. Before long, Virgil decided to start his first streetwear brand. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, Threaducation, I already know what you're about to say. Virgil's first brand was Pyrex, everybody knows that. But that's actually not true. Technically, Virgil's first brand was something called Fort Home. Virgil says that the first t-shirt he made for Fort Home used Edwardian script because that's the only font his copy of Adobe Illustrator had at the
As an architecture student, like I had a professor that said I didn't have the pedigree or ideas or skill set to sort of work in any sort of important context. So every no is perfect for me. I thrive off a no. Off-White is sort of my resume and mood board for an actual idea that I have for like the modern luxury brand. It's almost like a laboratory. For me, it's like my teenage years is the foundation for everything that I've sort of done afterward. I was just like an average sort of suburban kid that was skateboarding, listening to Nirvana, Beastie Boys, rap, Wu-Tang. Like you say the music, you can think of a look. And so as I started thinking about clothing, I was always like drawn to what my initial interest was, and that was t-shirts. For Off-White, my contribution was I would take a young idea of streetwear, this idea that t-shirts and hoodies are important, but making that in the same factories as luxury houses. So that's why we're in Italy.
This is men's team working on pre-collection
Damn.
next season. Shoes are happening in the back.
Off-White.
This is women's room.
I just moved to this newer space because the concept is growing.
How's it going? New office. It's nice in here.
But I have no desk in the world. I travel probably like 320 days a year, 8
Damn.
flights a week. Chicago, Frankfurt, Milan, London, Berlin, Stockholm, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Vegas, and LA. It's a lot. I work on the street, literally, like phone in hand. I feel like Off-White might be one of the truly first sort of like luxury brands that's been just built from social media. It
Off-White.
behaves in this sort of hybrid in between a traditional system and a...
It's crazy. I don't know if y'all remember, but Pyrex used to be the shit back in the days. Pyrex, everyone used to have the Pyrex and the snapbacks and shit. He started that shit.
new system as in streetwear, that clothes just come out at different times, they're posted on Instagram and consumers can buy them. And I'm interested in that hybrid in between them both. You know, I'm directly pointed at this generation that hasn't been messaged luxury to yet. As an Off-White sort of look, you know, I'm looking to put this with like a t-shirt and jeans perhaps.
What?
This millennial young person, they love to covet things. They're sort of waiting for a designer that's sort of face to them.
I want to make a modern version of her wedding dress.
I like this. You know, I like seeing the shoulder. I love this idea that Off-White can go from like a study on graphic t-shirts all the way to a wedding dress under this sort of muse
That's
that
crazy.
I've dictated for the season. This current collection that I'm developing, choosing Princess Diana as the muse, is sort of this resonance.
It's super like young Diana. Yeah, I couldn't be happier. It looks like the sketch. Can you walk? It's always what I wanted to do, you know, and no one does it. A couture meets street, but people say it all the time.
Couture.
I've had the fortunate ability to sort of craft my own path. You know, people ask me all the time, do you feel some sense of like achievement or fulfillment? And the answer is zero. There's no feedback loop that's like, yes. I'm only interested in like making new things. Like getting to this place of the next idea.
I think bell bottoms are gonna come back because everyone has in their closet.
This shit crazy, cuz. Hit that like, hit that subscribe if you new. Brrr, gang. RP, man, RP.
I'm going to see Virgil. How is this collection for you?
I don't even have words, you know? There's certain shows that like stand out for various reasons, and I feel like, you know, that show for Vuitton Men's was one of those like special category shows.
The clothes were amazing, beautiful, finished, elegant. Women want to wear those men's clothes. But for me, the feeling, 32 years of modeling, I never felt that feeling of unified love from every single person there for you.
Wow.
How did you get this job?
I dreamt about it.
I believe
willed it into fruition, thinking that it can happen, and doing everything in my power to sort of make it cross
And
my
make
path.
it manifest.
I can name instances 8 years ago that were part of this process.
Him and Kanye hugged at the LV show. I'm gonna search that up.
Unleash.
RP, man. RP the GOATs, man. 2021 almost over and we still losing people. This shit crazy. Just stay positive, man. Stay positive in this crazy time right now. Fuck is this? Some complex bullshit. Travis Scott? Travis Scott, Kylie, Kim, Kanye, Jordan Woods. Damn, that lineup is crazy. What's going on here? Kanye's getting mad emotional. Damn, my nigga. Damn, Jordan Woods looking like a baddie right here, bro. She looking sexy as fuck. What the fuck they got Jung Woo right beside her? Who the fuck is this Chinese nigga right here? Where the fuck is Virgil? I don't even see him. I just see Kanye and Kim. Travis Scott not trying to stand up. That nigga too cool for that. Kanye and Virgil, man. Oh shit, that's Diddy's son and them. Damn, what runway is that? They got everyone in that bit.
So I can name instances 8 months ago that were part of it, and I think it's a metaphor for anything that one wants to do in life.
When was the first time you came to Paris, you and your crew?
8 years ago now, maybe. Kanye and myself have been friends for 14 years now. We've always been driven by fashion. We've always been the kids in the store, like wanting to know more because there felt like something that was at play, something that we didn't know but we appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
So that was ironically at the Louis Vuitton store on Michigan Avenue. Kanye's like, wait, Paris Fashion Week? This is where the new collections are debuting? I'm gonna go, you know? Like, I'm gonna use this door, and he invited all of us to go with him because he knew that that's what we were into. And he's like, this is where the designers at. These are where the ideas are coming from. You know, like we would literally be at the Marie's lobby, come down and look at each other's outfits and be like, oh, you gotta step it up. Or like, you know, we need to go this way. We're going to Comme. So this particular show, Comme des Garçons, we get out. There's only 2 photographers. Not like, there was no scene basically. One of which is Tommy Ton, and he takes the photo of Kanye, Taz Arnold, Farnsworth Bentley, Ivan Jasper, Don Crawley, and myself. That photo then like began to like rule the internet. You know, this is like before social media is like fully ramped what it is now. That was us sort of saying, hey, we want to participate in this arena.
So you're not traditionally trained, but what I love is that you don't have to be.
I love
because you've covered it in other ways.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you explain to everyone you're an engineer?
Yeah.
You have an engineering degree.
Yeah, basically started, you know, my parents are from Ghana and West Africa. They did the hardest part of that for my journeys, which is putting me in a place where I could sort of flourish. They could raise a kid with opportunity. And so, you know, I took advantage of that when I was a teenager. And then my dad said, like, I always wanted a son as an engineer, and I'm the opposite of like a rebel type. So I was like, that's the least I can do for like for you making that stride from a third world country to, yeah, it's like, you're gonna get a son that's an engineer.
Have you been able to use your engineering background in fashion and in your art?
100%. Like, so I studied engineering, then got a master's degree in architecture. And I explain to people it's like how the world works in a way. It's like an analytical thinking, like how do you make a building stand up? But then there's the yin yang part of it. It was like, what does the building look like and what does it do? How does it perform? Why is it relevant? So it's analytical plus like aesthetic. And I use that in fashion design or my art practice.
Are you a researcher?
Yeah, because what we're living now has already sort of been lived before us. The metaphors are like numerous.
So you gotta translate it in another way.
Exactly.
Which you're doing.
Yeah.
Which you've done.
You know, try to.
And now House of Vuitton.
Yeah.
What have you used from the House of Vuitton from the past and their history?
Yeah.
If you had time to even go back into the archives.
You know, I had done a number of like months of research, just even like while I was preparing for the job. You know, I was working on it. And to me, what struck me is like Louis Vuitton himself was very much like how my practice and how I think. So 1854, he develops the trunk. You know, trunks are usually like a chest at that time.
R.I.P.
So they'll
R.I.P.
have
man.
a
Shout out to all the
top
real ones
so
in the
like
stream.
water
Let's
would
go.
come off the top. So what he had done is he made it flat so you could stack them because you can't stack chests. You know, you make an innovation, then every other competitor is going to say, "Oh, I'm just going to do the same thing."
Way.
So there comes the print. It wasn't it was the damier, but then the monogram became a way to distinguish the ones he made.
Bro, do y'all see the couch they're sitting on? They're sitting on a Louis Vuitton couch. How much y'all think that couch cost right there, bro? At least 50,000, bro. Maybe even 100.
I see.
So if you take fashion,
Oh wait, no.
transpose
It's not a couch. It's just a cushion. Never mind. I'm high.
it to now, say off-white era, and it's like there's so many clothing brands. I'm gonna print on mine, so people know that mine.
This
are
is
different.
yours.
So that was
It's your
my,
trademark.
Yeah, it was like, you know, the diagonal lines or the arrow signified.
The cross.
Yeah, but I was doing that to cotton sewn garments in Italy and sourcing fabrics from Japan, you know, making it in an atelier.
Even on your shoes with the orange tag.
Yeah, exactly. Finding a way to sort of denote it from
In fact,
afar.
the keys on
And
my
so
Nike Baka,
being
like,
at
I'm the man on my
Vuitton, I
roster.
think it's super profound on a business and CEO and management levels. Like, if you find a creative that's passionate, they'll carry the baton. I went to the archive and you have the original trunks. Then you have Marc Jacobs' whole collection. Then you have Nicolas Gasquet's whole collection. Then you have Kim Jones and all the things in between. And they're allowing me to place my full collections in the same archives that go back to 1854. So that, to me, you can't erase that.
No.
And so, you know, for them to sort of say, you know, appointing me seems like news, but that is like a longer, you
That's
know,
legacy.
Yeah, and I want us to be remembered. It's been my goal.
How is it following Kim's steps?
That's great. I used to sleep on Kim's couch in the front room his house didn't made available. Like, if you rewind the tape, it kind of makes sense because
Kim who?
Jones looked at Kanye and I and we're like, hey, these kids are eager. You know, this is
Kim
when
Jones?
Kim was doing Umbro. You know, so he was mixing sportswear and luxury. He had amazing Vivienne Westwood archives and was like not looking at Kanye and I like just like you know, a celebrity friend to hang out with.
He
saw
was
our
a
passion for
genius.
clothes.
He made
He would take us
people
vintage shopping,
spend 5
he would
racks on
share
kicks. That's
the
how you
energy,
know he
and,
did something
you know, we
right.
loved Jordans, and we never met a designer that sort of knew
Definitely a genius. He definitely knew how
streetwear
to
culture
design
like that.
and
So, you know, he helped us
create a
develop
product and sell
our
it,
skill set and
and a
design,
brand.
and still friends.
Gotta
So,
respect it.
you know, he was instrumental in sort of like
Off-White,
making the
Pyrex,
transition for me happen.
Whole bunch of other stuff
You
that I
had
don't
an
know about.
emotional moment with
Yeah.
Kanye.
Yeah.
And it was, I think, on top of the show being magnificent, that just brought everybody's heart out. Everybody just wanted to cry.
Yeah. Well, Kanye was the guy when it was completely unpopular that said, I am not to be typecast into a box. Like, he willed it for us. You know, like, I'd go back. He was like, we're going to Fashion Week, this place that we can't get in. That dream is his just as much as it's mine. In my dream, it was him down the runway. The one thing that has to be stressed about that show is that it actually wasn't me on the runway. You know, it was the community. That show was us, you know, and that link wouldn't have happened unless, you know, I acknowledged that Kanye stood from a mountaintop long ago and yelled, saying, the future of fashion will be like this. So I wanted the world to see that the guy who fought for this moment is a part of it and is uniquely linked to, you know, me doing it.
Okay, so Cold War.
Yeah.
Michael Williams. Every time I meet someone, they worked with Virgil. They were Virgil's assistant. I'm like, wow. And what I love hearing is how you go, as busy as you are, to each and every one show to support them.
Yeah. I
Kim.
learned that from you, by the way. You know, like, we do it. We both do it naturally.
We have
you
to
know?
support.
Like, it's like.
I feel, you know, you can't force me to do something. I have to feel it.
Yeah.
And I have to feel for that person. But when I do and I'm committed, I'm committed. So you're really open about the designers you admire.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell me? Because I've never asked you that question.
No, to me, just for instance, like Riccardo Tisci reprogrammed my idea of what luxury was, because
Shit crazy, man. All I know is murder, baby. Run around with them bands on me. I'm smoking purple, baby. RP Virgil, man. Stand with the motherfucking RPs in the chat, man. Let me know. It's a crazy time right now, man. Stand with the motherfucking RPs.
so he was making things, and still is, that related to my lifestyle. It was the first time that I'd seen sort of, you know, high fashion, sort of with the fit, proportion, attitude that was happening on the street.
Yeah, good transcendent.
Nicolas Gasquier, you know, his work from now all the way back to Balenciaga, you know, It's a Weird Trip was the first time that I had seen graphic design in a way that related to what was happening in the street, you know. And so Phoebe Philo, to me, is like, you know, a modern sort of genius for her way to translate luxury, empower women, or whatever her ethos is, comes through on the most simple garment in the environment. That's what that moment of my show was so emotional. I did not ever think that I could be a designer with a capital D, because no one looked like me. Just plain and simple. I couldn't see, I was like, I'll never get the capitalization. I might just be a designer, but I might do it and do another career, because I was like, I don't see people that look like me. I have to get struck by a certain type of lightning to get that sort of epiphany, to be someone to tap me with a wand and say, you're a designer, let alone, like, you know.
Head
So
of the house.
that, yeah.
Damn, your mom worked with him? RIP, man. Can't believe we lost a legend today. No cap. May he rest in peace. At least he isn't stuck in this horrible corona world. It's gonna get better, man. Everything's gonna get better. Just gotta pray, stay together, stay positive. Shout out to everyone's in the stream. Times get hard and rough, but things will get better, man. Stay positive. No kizzy.
All those things, you know, I have a whole list of things. That's why I love culture. I love.
He was a genius.
You know,
he was a good
exploring.
dad,
None of
man.
it's changed you. You're exactly the
No
same
cap.
from when I met you. What you,
Long live Virgil,
I know
man.
It's this end goal. There's no. This is a beginning goal.
Comment up in the chat. Send y'all prayers. Let me know what up.
What's, next?
I feel like
Anybody in the chat wear off-white Pyrex, let me know, man. Comment up. Let me know if y'all got that drip up.
I honestly feel like I just graduated like school, a master's program. You know, now is the beginning. Now is the body of work
All that
starts.
blunt of that new
I looked
dead
at the show just the other day as my first show. You know, and I now have to sort of remove that block, that glass ceiling of like perception that I had for myself. Like, you can't be that.
You're
Now-
in it.
So
It's
now,
fixed.
and then we're the establishment. Like, we can no, I will no longer be referencing the old days and then the barrier to entry.
My mom has a shirt
because
signed by him weeks
we've,
before he passed
through
away.
our
Wow,
hard
that's
work
lit. That's
over our
crazy.
whole careers, but in
That
these
shirt gonna be worth a
conversations
lot.
that me, you,
Make sure you
and
save
Edward
that.
have been,
Amen.
Make sure y'all hit that like and
we've
subscribe,
sort of
man.
made
Make sure y'all hit that like and subscribe, man.
At a time. And there was also a big X on the back of the shirts. Is it just me, or does that sound a little bit familiar? He hosted a few pop-up shops for Fort Home, but it never really grew beyond his circle of friends. It did, however, catch the attention of one very important person. Virgil sent his designs to be printed at a local t-shirt printing shop called Custom Kings. Employees at the shop were really impressed that he had sent in all of his files in the proper format, and they offered him a job. Virgil had only been working at Custom Kings a short time when Don C walked in looking for someone to help him design some t-shirts. Don C liked Virgil's designs, and the two began working together almost immediately. This turned out to be a major turning point in Virgil's career. Don C saw the potential in the budding designer and set up a meeting between him and his cousin John Monopoly, who was managing Kanye West at the time. As the story goes, in 2006, Virgil skipped his own graduation ceremony to take the meeting with Monopoly, and shortly afterwards he was introduced to Kanye. Together, Kanye and Virgil began collaborating on album artwork, set design.
So wait, he skipped his own graduation to meet Kanye? What? Hold up.
His own graduation ceremony to take the meeting with Monopoly. In 2006, Virgil skipped his own graduation ceremony to take the meeting with Monopoly, and shortly afterwards he was introduced to Kanye.
That's
Together,
crazy.
Kanye and Virgil began collaborating on album artwork, set designs, merchandise, and whatever other projects they could think of. It was the start of a great creative partnership, and perhaps more importantly, a great friendship. Working with Kanye also helped Virgil expand his network. In 2007, Kanye introduced him to Kim Jones, who had just won the title of Menswear Designer of the Year at the 2006 British Fashion Awards.
RIP in the
Virgil
chat, man.
admired
Everyone
Kim's
spam with the
ability to
RIP,
walk
man.
the thin line between streetwear and
Legend.
luxury fashion, which was something that he himself was trying to do. After their introduction, Virgil slept on Kim's couch in London for an entire summer and spent the time learning everything he could about the industry.
Damn.
This was the beginning of another friendship that would have a major impact on his career. I'll also note briefly that around this time, Kanye, Virgil, and Kim Jones were all involved in a label called Pastel, but I'll go more into depth on that in another video. According to Virgil, one of the first major projects that he completed for Kanye was joining him and artist Takashi Murakami.
Let me see. Didn't Virgil just give Drake Look at this watch right here. This is what Virgil gives. Imagine if your friend gives you this, man. What kind of watch is this, like, bro?
In designing merch for the Glow in the Dark tour, which was the tour for Kanye's 2008 album Graduation. The more that they worked together on projects like this, the more Virgil and Kanye began bonding over their shared love for fashion. Both of them soon became fixed on the idea of breaking into the world of luxury fashion, and that's exactly what they did. In 2009, Virgil and Kanye had a meeting with Louise Wilson, who was the head of the master's program at the legendary design school Central St. Martin's. In an interview with GQ, Virgil says that they asked Wilson to help them learn fashion design the right way, but she responded saying, "You guys are idiots. You know more than my students. Why on earth would you want to go to fashion school?" Taking her advice, they forewent fashion school and instead saw a practical experience by taking up an internship at Fendi. It's not exactly clear how they landed the internship, but it's fair to assume that Kanye was able to pull some strings to make it happen. The two have since joked about the internship, saying that they didn't do much more than fetch coffee, not to mention they only made $500 per month. However, their time at Fendi may have been more impactful than they let on. In fact, it appears to have been a developmental period for the both of them. In a 2018 interview, Kanye explained, "We couldn't figure out how to actually make the clothes, so we just do it in Photoshop. And Virgil became the fastest Photoshop artist that I've ever met in my life." He has also previously said that they brought the idea of leather joggers to Fendi, but were turned down. Aside from that, one very important thing happened during their internship at Fendi. They caught the attention of Michael Burke, who was CEO at the time. Burke has since said that they brought a whole new vibe to the studio and were disruptive in the best way. And he added that he's been following Virgil's journey into fashion ever since. Without the Fendi internship, Virgil may have never made it onto Michael Burke's radar. And it's a good thing he did, because just a few years later, Michael Burke would become chairman and CEO of Louis Vuitton. But we'll get to that in just a bit. Now in 2009, the same year that they completed their internship at Fendi, Kanye and Virgil also made their first big run at Paris Fashion Week. Even though Kanye was already a multi-Grammy winning star and was collaborating with Louis Vuitton on his own sneaker, Virgil recalls that they were still treated as outsiders. In an interview with W Magazine, he says, "We got into about 60% of the shows. We were a generation that was interested in fashion and we weren't supposed to be there." Even though they felt like outsiders, they didn't hold back when it came to letting everyone know who they were and that they were there to stay. You can see here a now famous photo taken outside of the Comme des Garçons show. From left to right we have Don C., who co-founded RSVP Gallery with Virgil that same year. Taz Arnold, the founder of streetwear brand Tisa. Chris Julian, the founder of the streetwear boutique Fruition and designer who worked on Pastel. Kanye, wearing his aforementioned signature Louis Vuitton sneaker. Farnsworth Bentley, a rapper and actor. And then finally, in the blue Montclair puffer, we have Virgil. And look, I'm not saying you have to like these fits, but just know that at the time this photo got a lot of attention and left a lot of people asking, who are these guys and what are they doing at Paris Fashion Week? 2009 was a breakout year for Virgil, and really he was just getting started. Following Paris Fashion Week, Virgil took on the role of art director for Kanye's 2010 album, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. The two of them flew to Oahu, Hawaii, where Kanye had booked an entire recording studio 24 hours a day for several months. As art director, Virgil was the one who chose George Condo to create a series of paintings for the album's cover artwork, even though the final version had to be censored so it could be released in stores. The time that Virgil spent in Hawaii also gave him the chance to grow closer to some of Kanye's collaborators, including the likes of Kid Cudi, RZA, Nicki Minaj, and Pusha T.
Damn.
In an interview with GQ, Pusha T says, "I met Virgil at the My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy sessions in Hawaii. And here's this guy, always in the studio, and he's pulling every reference under the sun from his computer. Architecture, fashion. His laptop was like a library of everything that was aesthetically beautiful and relevant." It's important to bring this up because more than anything else, art directing this project was Virgil's way of ingratiating himself further into the rap community. As we'll see, Virgil's future success in fashion would rely heavily upon support from the rap community, so this was an important period in his career. In 2010, Virgil was officially named the creative director of Kanye's creative content company Donda, which tasked him with many of the same responsibilities he was already handling, including things like merchandising and stage design. One of his first projects in the new role was directing the artwork for Kanye and Jay-Z's 2011 album Watch the Throne. Under Virgil's direction, the cover artwork was designed by Riccardo Tisci, who was creative director of Givenchy at the time. In fact, Virgil and Riccardo's work on Watch the Throne earned them a nomination for Best Recording Package at the 54th Annual Grammy Awards. So yes, you heard that right, Virgil does have a Grammy nomination.
Damn.
Virgil's next venture into fashion came
Man,
somewhat
they was doing
unexpectedly.
everything.
During the Watch the Throne tour, Virgil found himself at the Lanesborough Hotel in London alongside Matthew Williams, Heron Preston, and Justin Saunders. According to a piece that Matthew Williams wrote for Grailed, the four of them were tired of going out to clubs and parties in London because they didn't like the music being played. That was when they were struck with the idea to bring their phones and laptops with them to operate the DJ booths themselves. They formalized their new DJ collective under the name Ben Trill, which Williams says was inspired by their connection with internet culture and rap music. Virgil also adopted the name Pyrex Vision for himself, and yes,
Pyrex.
that is a hint of things to come, but hold on because we're not quite there yet. After playing their first gig in London, the Ben Trill collective started making appearances more regularly. Even though the group started as nothing more than a fun idea, everything changed when Virgil and Heron started printing shirts with Ben Trill branding. Characterized by bold graphics, the iconic dripping logo, and of course an abundance of hashtags, the shirts were hard to miss. They started circulating pieces among their friend group, and before long, major
Ben Trill used to be
celebrities like
hard
Kanye,
back in the days.
Rihanna, and A$AP Rocky were regularly wearing Ben Trill branded merchandise.
Facts.
This, of course, created hype, and so the collective started selling a limited number of pieces at select fashion boutiques.
multiple lives of disloyalty, of the way I felt, you know, with Virgil going to Louis and just things that jealousy.
So it actually was a problem because that's what we heard.
Absolutely, I was jealous. What do you mean? I'm a human being. And people try to tell you what to say and press and what to feel. Like, you don't feel that. If you was in my situation and you riding, no, this is the other thing. Sicko mode, they would play it at the kids' party. So I'd have to bring my kids to a party with this man threatening my life on a song. Welcome to Calabasas. And then they wonder why you end up, you know, in the hospital. It has to be some type of respect, a male perspective, a God perspective, and some type of community leadership. And I'm the leader. And that's what I told
Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, I told Lauryn, I told everybody. I'm the leader. Let's.
I can get 2 for 50 with tax included.
All right. I'm streaming right now, man. You keep talking.
Let's look at it. Let's open up this Bible. Like, you know, your grandmother, like, you need Jesus.
Yeah, you need Jesus.
That's what you need. Man.
My favorite song, by the way.
Because praise God. Because all of this that we doing, it ain't adding up to nothing. Now God is pointing at me and said, this man worth $9 billion. This man, and that's pretty good for a black man. Since I was like, oh, the black. First of all, I said that before. We got to take the black version off it. Because I'm running circles around, you know, all the other, you know what we're gonna do?
Guys.
Yeah,
all
you know
others.
No, that black or white. But what we're gonna do to the world?
We gotta make some noise for that.
Yeah.
We gotta. Continue.
Like,
I ain't gonna lie, you got me hyped, motherfucker. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like, look at Moses. In order for Moses to be Moses, he had the ability to be able to take down anybody else. That's my thing. If I'm a rap on a song, if I'm gonna do a beat, if we talk about money, whatever we talking about.
R.I.P. Virgil and all the people he inspired, man. It's good to hear y'all stories and hear what he done for y'all, man. Make sure I hit that like and subscribe. No kids, gang, man. You know it's gonna, we come, man. We don't promote the gang, but we know we all about the gang. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. R.I.P. all the real ones, man. We lost a lot of real ones, man, this year. Let me know who hit that like and sub, bro. No kizzy, man. Shout out to all the new subscribers, man. Gang.
I'm gonna be the most.
I want to get some more videos of Kanye West and Virgil walk from the restaurant. What? I don't really care about niggas walking to a restaurant, but.
Where are they going?
Paparazzi.
Okay. Where are they going? Whoa, watch it.
Going on sale for Yankee Stadium. Yankee Stadium, very excited about.
Moses to the situation, because that's what God anointed me, that skill set to be able to do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I can, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have Drake write a verse. You wouldn't have Virgil do a song for you, but you wouldn't have Drake pick out a purse for you. You know what I'm saying? But I would compete with both of them at the same caliber. You know, competing with Virgil at Louis Vuitton with my little brown sweatshirts. Somehow, this man been anointed with different skill sets. That's why I said I put him on a group text, and it wasn't about the matching Arc'teryx or Kid Cudi dress. It's like, you know how it is, if you texting a girl or a girl texts you back, they might, just to gain some position, text you back slow, different things. Let me tell you, as the leader, I don't operate like that. Don't be on my phone texting me back slow. If I, and it's some immediate response. Or don't be on my phone. That don't work with, like I told you, I'm a Xerox printer.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out the video after, bro. I got
see
you.
a dinosaur bone and build a dinosaur out of it mentally. So if I hear a verse, I'm gonna build a dinosaur I'm gonna hear dinosaur born out of a line too, because people could look and be like, oh, he never did this, but that don't mean that line hasn't built an entire dinosaur bone. And this is a perfect time for me to come back, because you got to understand, I was Ye, and then they started making more Ye's.
Yo, Kanye, can't lie, Kanye is hilarious, bro. That's one thing about Kanye. That nigga is funny as fuck. What do you want me to search again? Oh, what was it called? Virgil.
What had started as a DJ collective has semi-officially become a streetwear brand, or at least everyone treated it that way. Reflecting on the success of Bentrill, Matthew Williams said, "I think everybody on the internet thought we were taking Bentrill a lot more seriously than we actually were. Bentrill was just about getting out and testing new ideas. Some of these ideas, however, were controversial, such as charging $100 for these shoelaces. They faced a lot of criticism for charging prices that didn't quite match the material quality of the products. That was until they flipped the script and started selling Bentrill at PacSuns across America, effectively killing the hype all at once. Nowadays, Bentrill is often looked back upon as a case study of how a hyped brand
market, arguably Illinois Institute of Technology.
What makes room for
The effing engineer couldn't get to my level. RP to Virgil, man. Inspiring person. I don't want to make this too long. I don't want to go on about it too long, you know what I mean? RP to Virgil. Seemed like a real one. I will be streaming more on his channel. Gang, 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 gang.